Welcome back to Give It To Me Bi. We have had so many people ask us some version of how do I stay connected to my bisexuality when I'm in a monogamous relationship? So if that's you, this episode is for you.
If you are the partner, maybe your person just came out or you are early in dating someone who is bi+, this is a place for you. We don't gatekeep here. You are part of our community. So long as you do the work, you listen, we learn. I reckon if you're listening to this as a partner of a bi+ person, you're already doing a pretty damn good job. I've been on both sides of the story. I've had polyamorous and monogamous relationships. So I'll give you all the tea. We're not saying one relationship shape is better. We are saying monogamy does not cancel bisexuality and non-monogamy does not prove it.
Too often, people confuse who you are attracted to with how you have agreed to run your relationship. Today, we want to dismantle that mix-up, name the erasure from straight and queer spaces, and talk about what actually helps.
And if your relationship history or choices do not fit a neat story, or if you've ever thought, maybe I'm not bi enough because I'm married, or if you're just tired of reassuring someone that attraction is not the same as action, you'll want to listen to this one.
This is Give It To Me Bi, the podcast where we talk about anything and everything from a bi+ perspective. Now, let us give it to you bi. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Chad.
Honestly, just saying hi, Steve, I'm about to cry. It's been too long.
Isn't it wild?
Wow. Whew, I'm emotional about this one.
I know. It's been a long time coming, but it also feels like no time has passed at all. But you sent me some of our earlier notes, and we have notes going back to 2024. It's now approaching mid 2026. It's almost 23rd. I don't know what day it is, but we are back.
We are. This is it sounds bizarre to say, because we've been here. We've just had a lot going on. I feel like I'm going to say this at the top of every episode, but just thank you to everyone for all the well wishes and all the support and patience. You know that Steve and I love to do this work and would only ever step away from it if it was absolutely necessary. But your two favorite bi daddies are here to try and get some bi love and hope back into the world. God knows we need some love in the world at the moment. Steve, speaking of bi love, oh my gosh, speaking of bi love, maybe we should talk about bi lights. What is that? What have we got there?
What would my bi light be? I can't quite think. Oh yeah, I got engaged.
Oh my goodness.
I know. And hey, listeners, guess who my best man is going to be at my wedding next year?
Oh, I don't know. Who's the best?
Chad the dad.
I mean, look, if there's a microphone in the room, I'm running for it. I've cried a lot over the last 12 months, as most people know, but recently I dissolved into tears when Steve, told me the news that he and his dear Chris got engaged. And then I was a hot mess when Steve asked me to be his best man. I was very honored. Very honored.
Of course. I'm so excited. It's wild. Like, beautiful Chris and I, we've been together for a couple of years now.
I feel like the audience, if you've listened from day one, you would have heard the inklings of the start of this relationship.
Yeah, you all have seen this happen, grow. And so now we're here, we're about to get married. And of course, my experiences in this relationship and my soon-to-be marriage informs a lot of our topic today. But before we get into that, I mean, I'm just buzzing with the love. It's so funny, Chad. I'm not sure if I told you, but 3 weeks before Chris proposed to me, I had already figured out that he was going to propose. Because he's like,
how?
Yeah. How? Okay, so he's asking me suspicious questions like, do I prefer gold or silver? Because he just bought me a necklace, and then he's like, and what about rings? What sort of style of rings are you into?
I say your rings are gorgeous.
It's really cool. It's really nice. It's called Diamond in a Rough, which I think sums us up. It's so imperfect, but perfectly imperfect.
you're so lame.
I know. And like he's feeling up my ring finger. And also because Instagram, the algorithm, like it feeds you each other's stuff. And so I'm getting ads for all these
Instagram
engagement
did you dirty.
rings. Instagram did them dirty. And so,
oh my gosh,
yeah,
so
I guess.
funny.
I know. And then we just did it like, yeah, he actually asked me like, we were at home and he asked me, should I do it now? And I'm like, yeah, I think now's the right time.
Oh, so he caught on that you caught on.
No, I'd already told him. I'm like, I know what you're planning on doing.
Steve.
And he was like, I was going to wait a few months. I'm like, we're not waiting a few months. Now that I know, now that my ADHD brain knows something's coming up.
Yeah. Great. Speaking of ADHD, there's some other news there.
Oh, yeah, right.
If you want to share it. Oh my gosh, we can cut it if you don't want to.
Oh no, I'm not into sharing personal stories, Chad. As the listeners here know, I'm quite a wallflower. Been on a mental health journey. Found an incredible therapist, and I cannot stress to people enough to, if you need it, go into therapy and find the right one, because it has just changed my life. And I made a joke about like, this is probably one of my many undiagnosed things. And he's like, oh, you mean the ADHD? Yeah, let's test for that. And so I'm like, oh, is it that obvious? He's like, yeah.
Well, yeah. When I met with my psych to get my diagnosis, we had this like 2 or 3 hour chat, like lots of tears back and forth. And at the end, I was like, so what do you reckon? Do I have it? And he's like, oh, within 5 minutes, I knew you had it, but I just like to chat. Like, we're vibing. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Oh, too funny. I love that. All right, Chad, what's your bylight?
Oh, bylight. Look, it's as listeners know, highlights are hard for me to come by at the moment. It's been a tough year, but I had a really beautiful moment last weekend. When was it? Last week. Steve, Chris, and fiance Chris and I were invited to go to the Sydney Opera House to go see one of the more iconic plays in queer history, I would probably say, called The Normal Heart, written by Larry Kramer. You'll know Larry Kramer is one of the most visible HIV/AIDS activists from the 80s and 90s. It was a book as well as a doco, the How to Survive a Plague. Fantastic, heart-wrenching, like don't watch it on a sad day kind of doco. And the play was just
it was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
It was amazing. Like, I'm HIV positive, and even through my own lens, like I've grown up around PrEP, I've grown up without losing friends. But I know about that history, and it's just amazing to see as an activist or an advocate and as a person living with HIV, just like how much of what we've got today across the board in terms of human rights, in terms of even the notion of giving people with a health condition rights and dignity, that these were unheard of concepts, let alone communities coming together to fight a health issue. It laid the ground for so much, and so much for the queer community. It's so important. And it gave me a lot of patience, I think, as well, for the people that went through this, because, we're here fighting our battles, and we have to remember where it all came from, right, Chad?
Yeah, oh my gosh. There's so many things to talk about in that show, but what intrigued me is that when we left, the three of us stood outside exasperated. And we all took quite a varied array of things from it. Obviously, you and I, we gleaned from it a lot of reflections and mirrors of the work that we do in advocacy. And it really kind of, I guess, revved us up a little bit. I mean, it's kind of one of the reasons we're here recording finally after a hiatus, is that we're like, oh, we have to fucking get back and do the work. I was really quite enamored with the storyline that really highlights how many different people are involved in any fight for human rights, and that you need to account and consider every one of them, and that no matter what progress you make, you will disappoint people, and it will be imperfect, and it will be tough, and there will be infighting, but you have to persevere anyway. That is really hard on the day-to-day, because it can feel like you're not making any progress, and you're just like battling over punctuation and it's like, we need to get the message out. It's like, yes, but that message might hurt people. And that was really interesting to see that.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that from that show. Poor Steve had to sit in between myself and Chris, who were just messes. Like, I'm sure I don't want to speak on Chris's behalf of.
Oh no, he was a mess.
Chris was a mess, but having recently lost my partner to cancer, and being in the room when they passed away, to watch that dramatized on stage was a little bit too haunting. It was quite a lot. I mean, to be fair, since Heidi passed away, I've seen quite a few shows that deal with death and cancer as well, and so obviously this show isn't about cancer, but losing a beloved, it's not easy to watch in front of you in the same room again. And we kind of got out of the theater and kind of went, look, I'd love to debrief the show with you, but I think we just need to go to bed.
Totally.
I'm a shell of myself right now.
I know we were, and I had to put my big boy pants on, because like I'm feeling emotion as well, but I'm looking to my right and looking to my left, and you two are having moments, and I'm just like, okay, Steve, we're battle stations. I'm just like, arms around both of you. And it was like, kiss, 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 rub.
Man.
That was also really beautiful as well, because like the demographics of the audience were so varied, and I thought this is really special. Like, the three of us are sort of different generations. Chris is a bit older than us. We're all got different experiences, but we're all sharing that moment and having the same visceral reaction from such different directions. Boom.
Yeah. Something we spoke about, and maybe we'll move on after this, is that one of the things that I see in the queer community, we've talked about it a lot, is honoring each other's fights and each other's battles, and it can be quite frustrating when you're working on trying to get some legislation through, or trying to rally people to support a cause. And I'll name it because I'm about to honor it at the same time. You might get some older queens or older gays who like couldn't care less, or like, why would I get into that fight? And I've seen people be quite frustrated by that. But you watch a show like The Normal Heart, and you're reminded you've done the fighting. You've experienced a lot of loss, and we cannot forget that those histories that give us the ability to have our own histories now, it is so important to honor that. And you can still be frustrated that you're not able to rally everyone behind your singular cause, but it is imperative that especially younger queers who have a lot of energy and a lot of passion, look to educate themselves and educate each other, and look to elders to learn from, but also to honor that, and not always expect people to re-traumatize themselves. Sometimes people are allowed to put down the sword after the battle and go, I think that was mine. That's enough for me. It was beautiful to watch.
Yeah, it was. And I couldn't imagine two better people to have watched it with. It was such a beautiful moment. So thank you for that, Chad.
Okay, Steve. So we are talking about how to affirm your bisexuality, how to feel secure in your bisexuality inside of monogamous relationships. It is probably one of the most requested topics, and every time we talk about it, we've talked about it on the straight passing episode. Big Bunny is for straight passing. That episode is easily our most engaged with, watched, listened episode. And people are thirsty for more. So we've got a few things we want to...
Thirsty for a lot of things, Chad.
Thirsty for a lot of things. One of them being you. So we've got a few different positions, takes, thoughts, ideas on this topic. And one of the things we really wanted to make sure that we talk about and include is partners as well. This isn't solely for bisexual individuals. You'll know that Steve and I always champion inviting in instead of calling out, calling in, and including partners in this. What a great opportunity to get to know each other on a deeper level. And we would love for this episode to be a bit of a resource for both people in a relationship. So if you're a partner of a bi+ person, whether they are newly out in your relationship or you're dating someone new and they happen to be bi+, welcome. This is for you as well. Steve, why don't you kick us off with one of our first topics?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to riff off that as well, like I think in all advocacy, when you learn something, when you gain knowledge, when you gain an empathy for a community, whether it's your own or someone else's, I think it's a really important responsibility to pass that knowledge on. So pass this on to your partner. But if you've got a friend as well who may be having a difficult experience, or is heading into the dating scene or something like that, or if you have a friend who might have some problematic beliefs, pass this on to them, because we welcome everyone, whether they agree with us, disagree with us. We want people to be able to hear this message and hear from bi+ people, because as you said, this is such an important topic, like almost a universal issue for bi+ people. So it's really important that we talk about this. So Jack, we're going to look at how like attraction, identity, and your relationship agreement are all completely different things. So they're who knew that bi+ people were complex and
multifaceted?
I mean, I thought binaries would be so easy, categories would be so easy, but we just reflect the beautiful richness of humanity. So what I mean by attraction is different to identity, is different to your agreement, is in this context is, the agreement that you have in your relationship is, and we're talking about monogamous relationships here, right, Chad? Is sort of the contract, whether spoken or unspoken, whether implicit or explicit, the agreement that you have about the boundaries that you have together. And that's separate to your attraction. Like I experience attraction to all genders. But the agreement that I have in my relationship is that we are monogamous. Then that comes the question, and the question that we're sort of addressing here is, how can I actually have that attraction be affirmed within the relationship? And I mean, I feel really lucky, Chad, and I don't know about you, actually I do know about you with your experiences, but I won't speak on your behalf, to have that experience, to feel affirmed in your monogamous relationship as a bi+ person. We're more often than not in relationships with people who have a different sexual orientation to ourselves. So we're in mixed orientation relationships all the time. And, to be able to have that attraction affirmed is the most amazing experience. And we're here to talk about that.
A couple definitions or clarifications for anyone who is learning about this for the first time. So mixed orientation relationship being people in the relationship have different sexual identities. So quite often that you might have people who are straight dating other straight people. They tend to find each other. Same with gay and lesbian folks. That would be the same orientation. Mixed orientation would be one person might be bisexual or bi+, and the other person might be gay or straight or lesbian. That would be a mixed orientation relationship. One of the things that you touched on, Steve, is the difference between identity and attraction. They can be closely related and intertwined or reference one another. One of the things that we quote often, and you hear a lot in kind of advocacy circles because it is a really useful definition, is Robyn Ochs, a long-standing bisexual advocate, has this definition of bisexuality, and it's, I call myself bisexual because I acknowledge that I have in myself the potential to be attracted romantically and or sexually to people of more than one gender, not necessarily at the same time, in the same way, or to the same degree. And I think that is such an excellent depiction of the possibility of bisexual identity and attraction. especially when communicating to folks who might not identify that way themselves. I know that in my relationship or with friends who don't understand and are looking to understand, that's been a bit of a one of those aha moments of like, oh, cool. Okay, so it's just about potential. It's not about like, oh my gosh, let me find in this moment, in every moment, someone with this genitalia, someone with that genitalia, someone with that gender expression, someone with that gender identity. It's not a buffet. We may enjoy
but
buffets.
It can be a buffet.
It can be.
This is a buffet positive space.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is. We love a buffet. Look at me.
We love a buffet.
And yeah, so I think that's a really useful framing device on how to communicate the difference between, so like my identity can involve attraction and that can influence relationship dynamics, but they are all three separate.
We actually had a really interesting message come through on this topic. Someone wrote in saying, everyone tells me I'm not really bi because I've never been with another woman. My wife and her friends say I'm just confused or curious, but I know who I am. I've always been attracted to women and men. And this is what we're talking about, the potentiality. We're not keeping scorecards. And it's so funny, Chad, you'll know this very well. A bi plus person, will never ask you for your scorecard. The only people that seem to do that, in my experience, gay people and straight people, because they don't have that understanding. Whereas when you enter a room, and you talk about this really beautifully, Chad, the weight coming off the shoulders and talking to someone about your attraction, we don't have to explain it to each other. Bi plus people get it. But when you're in the mixed orientation relationship, that is, as you explained, a relationship with someone who doesn't share your sexuality. So if you're a bi plus person with a straight or a gay person, you do often have to do that educating, and you have to explain, like, that attraction and identity and also behavior are all different things.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
That's where the agreement that you make comes into play. That's where that's why we have to have conversations. Gay people don't really have to explain to their gay partner what being gay means.
Yeah. I like that you said before the explicit or implicit relationship structure or contract that you may have. I think that's a really great way to put that. I know that for my relationship with my partner, Heidi, we never said, hey, like, we are monogamous, but it was understood. Like, you know what I mean? Like we chose each other. We chose each other every day. That was our relationship. And one of the things, and I wrote this in an article that will be going live in April for Star Observer. That's our column, a monthly column, is that when things aren't explicit, it opens up possibilities for question marks. Question marks open up possibilities for misunderstanding. Misunderstanding opens up possibility for mistrust. And so without having explicit conversations about your attraction, explicit conversations about your expectation of your relationship, and also inviting that from your partner as well, whether you are the bi plus person or the non-bi plus person. Steve and I are big on, like, it's not about bi plus people calling the shots of like, this is how a relationship should be because I'm bi. It's like, no, everyone, like, this is a relationship. This is a negotiation always. This is a negotiation always, and it is important that everyone gets to say in what that looks like. But when it's unspoken, it creates tension, and so that's why it's good to have these conversations out loud. And it's an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity to say, what do we want? Like, what's expected of us from us?
I sort of fell into monogamy. It just happened. It's so funny that my first date with my now fiance, Chris, was at a house party I was hosting. He was hanging out with my ex-girlfriend and my ex-boyfriend. We were all at the same table at the same time. Very openly polyamorous. He knew this podcast, knew my experiences. And moving into the relationship, it was, implicit that it was monogamous. And then after some time, we realized, oh, no, we actually have to have that conversation. It's important, because if you prefer an implicity, you have to be comfortable with the discomfort that might come with that. Some people actually can be comfortable with that. But I know for myself, for my own security, for my own self-esteem, all of that sort of stuff, having it explicit is really important for me. But rules can be rewritten, and rules are there for you to write for yourself. There's no rule book, and as you say, there's no script.
So on a similar vein as that point about it being explicit and these kind of relationship contracts, and we say contract loosely, right? It's like an agreement, it's an understanding. It's not like sign your name in blood or anything like that.
It's not a will.
It's not a will. No, that's so funny. One thing I want to make sure we are making very clear is that monogamy is not the goal, right? It's like, but it's not the goal. It is whatever is agreed upon with the people inside the relationship. As Steve expressed before, has been in polyamorous relationships. I personally am someone who is open to polyamory, but I was in a relationship that wasn't the agreement, and that wasn't our relationship, and was very totally relentingly happy with that arrangement. You know what I mean? I just want to make sure that we're very clear that by talking about monogamy so explicitly, we're not downplaying or sidestepping the conversation that people who want to have open relationships or explore non-monogamy are in any way exploring inferior or less moral options at all. That is not the game and the playground that we are in.
No,
we support all.
I'd be a hypocrite if we were saying that. I mean, like for me, like I still would describe myself as polyamorous. I'm in a monogamous relationship, but I'm polyamorous now in the values and the ideals that I bring into a monogamous relationship, because there's so much to learn. We'll talk about that a bit later. But Chad, tell us a bit more about how the well-being and identity are negotiated inside the relationship.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that we've had a few people write about and talk about in our Facebook group. A little shout out to our Facebook group. It's a wonderful community of people who can share their stories, their circumstances with other bi+ people and allies, and get feedback or get support, that kind of thing.
What's it called? What would they search?
It's just called the Give It To Me By
Community.
I think that, yeah, Give It To My Community on Facebook. If you go to our website or go to the show notes, the link will be there. There's actually quite a lot of fear and uncertainty, because there are a lot of people in these relationships that are so dedicated to their partners, so in love with their partners, and fear that a coming out could create a friction or a rupture that to them feels like, why would that be the case? I'll share an example from my own story. Is that I've never really been in the closet, right? I was a little emo kid. We were all making out with each other when we were kids. Like, what's gender? You know what I mean? And but when I was 17, I joined the church, and that's where I met my partner Heidi. I'm no longer in church. My partner and I left the church after a number of years, but during that time, sexuality, it wasn't something you talked about all that much. It was brought up at different points, but it was kind of not the thing discussed. And a number of years into our relationship, it came up as the marriage equality debate going around Australia, and a number of people said to me, "Oh, Chad, you're such a great ally. I see you writing this content, and I see designing these album covers for fundraising CDs and
the bi people as allies."
Yeah, and I was like, I am not an ally. And we had a friend over for dinner, and he's a gay man, and said, "Oh, you're bi." Just very matter of factly, he knew, we've talked about it, and my partner just kind of went like, okay, noted. And then when they I was gonna say when they left, but they actually fell asleep on the couch. When it was just us talking, they're like, when did this happen? Like, what are you talking about bi? I was like, what do you mean? We've talked about this, it's come up. And that became a potential rupture for us. And
Yeah.
and in a 13-year long relationship, that was the hardest thing we personally found in our relationship, because it created, again, those question marks, and it
Mhm.
created this, well, if you trust me, why didn't you trust me with this? And if you
Mm.
if you don't share this, what else aren't you sharing? And
Mm.
it creates all these opportunities for just doubt. And the unfortunate thing is and one of the reasons we are very big on creating content like this is that when someone like my partner Hardy goes onto Google or YouTube saying my partner came out as bi, there is not a lot of great resources for that person.
Oh, yeah.
You would know if you visit some of these Reddit communities. A lot of these communities say, run for the hills. They're going to cheat on you. They're just gay and hiding it. They got
Mhm.
like it's pretty atrocious.
You're going to get HIV, you're going to get
Ooh.
STIs. They
Mhm.
say a lot of these things.
Yeah.
And
Which, I
can
mean, there's a lot of historical triggers in that one. But yeah, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I just wanted to say in here a really important note for any partners listening, or if you're going to pass this on to your partner, because there is that response. If you love me and you trust me, why wouldn't you trust me with that information? And for the partner of the bi plus person, have a lot of empathy and pause for a moment and put yourself in their shoes, because the experience of a bi plus person is very different to that of a gay and a straight person. And unless you've walked a mile in our shoes, you don't know that experience. And so we are often deathly afraid that coming out to you will spell disaster. And that's the only, it's not that we don't trust you. It's not that we don't love you. It's that we know that the world has told you, or the world has told itself, that bi plus people aren't to be trusted. All these horrible, horrible stereotypes. And we're deathly afraid of that. We're not afraid of you as our partner. We don't distrust you. We don't even think that you might share these beliefs, but we are afraid. And so in that moment, have empathy, kindness, and love for your partner.
Yeah. And it's obviously easier said than done. And I have a lot of love for partners who are experiencing this, because obviously I walk this with my partner Heidi. A few points that's not anecdotal either. There's a lot of research that shows that bi plus people in the wider queer community experience the worst mental health outcomes. Very close with our trans siblings. But when it comes to sexual identity, bisexual people experience the worst mental health, physical health outcomes, and it can be quite catastrophic. And we can dig into that. We've got episodes on that. But there is a lot of additional research talking about the effect on bi plus people based on their partner gender, partner sexuality, but most importantly, how supportive their partner is about bisexuality, and acceptance leads to obviously a lot of self-confidence, self-trust, security, but also leads to increased intimacy, increased stability in relationships. And so there's actually a lot of support when there's partners who wholeheartedly accept and endeavor to understand their bi plus partners, that relationships can actually be better. I know that from myself and my partner.
Seriously, though. Yeah.
We have always been rock solid. Always, like we chose each other every single day. And after coming out and after navigating that was an admittedly rocky time for us. It was the only thing that ever potentially shook us. After that, our relationship was just beyond. And my partner then became an incredible ally, not just to me, but to the bi plus community. Came to events, would support the bi plus community, came to Pride, supported me at Pride, and that, like, I can't, I get quite emotional thinking about it, because it was something that was so hard for us that then became such a joy for us, that combined celebration of my identity. And it also just I mean, speaking to bi plus folks now, I know that a lot of people can feel frustrated by the word burden is perhaps the wrong word, but the responsibility, maybe that's a better word, to have to educate people. I hear a lot of people online saying, it's not my job to educate you. And I understand the intent of that. I call bullshit on that a little bit. Who else's job is it? Do you want to send uneducated, and I say uneducated in the literal sense, not in a derogatory sense, person into the world to try and find resources and information? What's the jumping off point? Where do they start? How do you make sure that the information people latch onto is good information? Like, you want people to learn from the community, and especially because no one has the same experience. No one's bisexuality is the same as anyone else's. Isn't it the best that they learn from you? So I would challenge bi-plus people in relationships. I know that is a hard hurdle to actually come out or communicate, can be, but like, if you can turn it around and see it as an opportunity to invite your partner in to discover what that means for you individually, as well as what that means for your partner, it can really, really create a sense of just adoration and intimacy and belonging. And we had people write in saying, there is no right or wrong way to be in a relationship. As long as there is enthusiastic consent, a relationship can look however you want it to look every single day. I've had folks new to this journey reaching out, asking if happy, successful mixed orientation relationships exist. And to that person, I say, absolutely. It is. I can't agree more that it is a partnership. It is a negotiation. And if you're both on board, rock and roll. Like that is all that matters at the end of the day, that you are both involved and no one's dictating to somebody else. And that is a negotiation every day.
Absolutely. And like when you're going through that coming out process with your partner, have a think about like I like to tell people, like, what energy are you going to put out? Because you can actually really influence, you can't change, you can't control someone else's emotions or reactions, but you can control how you communicate and the vibe you're giving off. So if you come at something with shame or fear yourself, that does rub off on the person you're communicating with. I find this when I disclose my HIV status as well. So I find if I want them to be nonchalant about it, I'll be nonchalant about it. If I want someone to react excitedly about me being bisexual, I will be excited as hell when I tell them, because I'm sharing something really important about me. If I want them to be afraid, if I want them to be scared, if I want them to question me, then I will approach it in a fearful way, being like, oh, I have something I need to tell you and I don't know how to tell you. And I know it's so difficult, and I know we've all been through this, and we will make those mistakes. We will always trip up on this. But just from my own experience, having been through it for years and having come out to so many people of every gender and every orientation, it's be proud. Just be please, like just be proud, because it will rub off.
Pride doesn't mean that fear isn't there. What do they say? It's like bravery is not the absence of fear. It's walking through fear. But yeah, you made a good point that like shame will influence someone to like go like, oh, what are you shameful about? Should I be concerned? But yeah, like acknowledge that fear will be a part of the journey. Like definitely not saying like, don't be scared. If you weren't scared, it might have come up previously, right? There's legitimate fears to be had. But yeah, you deserve to be proud.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you control your narrative. You control your narrative. You control the agreements you have in your relationships. You get to control these things. I think we forget that we have that power, because we often as bi-plus people feel like everyone else gets to dictate what being bi-plus is. And I think we're really at a time where we're reclaiming that. We're taking our power back, not just as a community, but as individuals. And we do that by telling people, hell yeah, I'm bi.
Now, Steve, listeners of the podcast may have enjoyed previously some of the conversations we've had and have been quite interested in some of just how open you've been discussing what polyamory looks like and non-monogamy looks like. And why would we bring this up on an episode about monogamy? And for people who may have fears of other people thinking bisexuality equals non-monogamy, why would we talk about it? I think, as you mentioned earlier in the episode, You are now in a non-polyamorous relationship.
Also known as monogamous.
Right? That's great. Thank you. I would get there. My brain. I think that's a really interesting point for someone who is so comfortable talking about it. I think you and your experience could create some ease, could create a great conversation, a starter or an icebreaker for people in relationships navigating this. Where did you personally start on this journey? What does that look like for you? How have you come to be where you are now? Because I find it fascinating.
Yeah, right. I do too. I find it really interesting because I sort of just woke up one day and be like, oh, I'm in a monogamous relationship and I'm very happy. I'm very fulfilled. I can't imagine it being any other way. It feels completely natural. And this is after being polyamorous my entire adult life. And I realized that having been polyamorous, and I still say like I am a polyamorous person in that it makes me a better monogamous person because I take these, for me, the core of polyamory is about autonomy and respect and consent and communication. People think that polyamory is about, people who don't sort of know much about it think it's about dating as many people as possible and orgies and sex and all of that. But at its core, polyamory is actually about adults consenting and having these really, really important discussions. It's people who really consider deeply what relationships mean. And so when I moved into a monogamous relationship, I was very comfortable and very prepared with all the right language and all that sort of stuff to be able to have those negotiations around monogamy now. And it gives me a really great outlook on how we can navigate the relationship. And also, with polyamory, you actually have to confront things like jealousy and envy and all these sorts of things, because these are things that you experience in monogamy as well. But many people who haven't had a polyamorous or ethically non-monogamous, ENM is a term people might have heard of. That's people who are in sort of open relationships. People who haven't had that experience often aren't given the tools. And so I feel really grateful to have been able to play it in that toy box, that toolbox, and have that toolbox. The toy boxes did come out back in those days.
I have a lot of toy boxes that we can discuss if you want to.
And it makes me a better monogamous person. And so I think that, and this is not me telling people go and be polyamorous for 5 years and cut your teeth on it. It's that let's have a look at what is actually behind it all. And it's all about communication. It's all about what makes you a good partner.
I like that you said that, because I can hear people thinking, because I've seen it in the group and in other groups, of like, well, you had your time to play and experiment and be with people of multiple genders. One of the very common experiences we hear is like, I feel like I haven't had my opportunity, or I feel like I've lost the right to an opportunity to experiment or explore or all that kind of stuff. And from my personal experience, and again, I can only speak for myself and occasionally for you, is that
I've consented for you to speak on my behalf. It's okay.
Is that I found that what I wanted most was just a recognition. Like that meant so much to me that and we've talked at length about the bi cycle. Now, for folks who don't know about the bi cycle, it is this kind of community language that's understood that people have waxing and waning or fluctuating attraction across the gender or gender presentation spectrum, where perhaps for a few months of the year or a few weeks or a few days, or you can go for different stints, you may have a more of an inclination of attraction one way or another, or down the middle, whatever it might be. And so I know that at times I might have a I don't know, a particular hot
I
period
ride
for
the bicycle hard.
Yeah. and
Seriously.
people are different. So I know some people are like, yeah, you know what? I'm kind of always just I could go for anyone and anyone. But I know that at times I'm like, okay, I am quite firmly attracted to men in this season. I am, or a particular season. I'm like, I am quite attracted to people who buck gender norms and are quite outside of that binary, and that can be any type of attraction. That could be for any length of time. And so what I recognize is that having a partner who recognized that that is a thing and wasn't threatened by that, and it wasn't something that was necessarily, you know when you tell kids not to do something, they go, I want to do it now.
Yeah.
You know, you tell a kid like that's out of bounds. They go, I'm going to test that boundary.
we talk about the dog leash, and the harder you pull the dog leash, the more you want to push.
Yeah,
if you let go of the dog leash, I'm coming back to you.
Yeah, and like so, our relationship was monogamous, but that didn't feel like a boundary. It didn't feel like a limitation. It felt like we could explore to the fullest degree what that meant for us. Like, you know, there was this great study done years ago where they were studying school children playing on the schoolyard, and they took away the fences around the schoolyard, and all the kids flocked to the middle, and they only played in the middle of the yard. But when they put the fences up, all the kids could explore the full capacity of the yard because they felt safe to explore and do so, because they knew what it meant to be in the yard. And I think that's a really great analogy for the contract of monogamy, or the relationship arrangement. Is like, I knew and we knew together what that meant for us. And so we could explore every possibility under the sun under that arrangement for us. And it wasn't like I don't know. We haven't talked about it. So like, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't something that ever felt like it was being withheld in any way.
Sure. Can I tell you a really cute story?
Please.
Okay. Shocking news, everyone. I'm currently having an affair. I know. I'm having an affair.
I'm intrigued.
I'm having an affair with, there's the cutest girl. She works at my local butcher, and I eat a lot of meat because I go to the gym a lot. And so I happen to be at the butcher very often. And it may or may not be to see this beautiful lady butcher. So I'm having an affair with her, with my partner, Chris. So Chris because we go shopping together. And so Chris will walk up to the butcher, but he'll sort of walk away a little bit and just watch. And he'll watch me and her like flirt over the counter, and she'll be like, and we flirt so hard. And Chris and I will just walk off, and he'll be like, she has the hots for you so much. And I'm like, I know. And he's like, it's so cool. And I'm like, I know, right, babe? And then we walk off and holding hands, and then we'll go home and have amazing sex. And it's like, and because it's such a nice way for me to be able to experience my bisexuality with my partner there, where it's all fully consensual. We know what's going on. It's this little sort of play that we're doing.
Yeah, I like that.
And it's joy. But we're only at this point, Chad, because we are secure, because we've already had these conversations, because we've got to the point where he understands that it's important for me to be able to embrace my bisexuality and for him to embrace it. So I'm having an affair, but my partner knows. But my partner knows about it, and he watches it, and he encourages it, and he loves it, and I feel so lucky to have that.
I just have to thank you for the social media clippable moment. Look, I love that, and that doesn't mean that other people have to do that, but I love that. That's exactly what we're talking about. That's something you've negotiated in, and it might have been explicit or not, whatever it might have been, but like you've discovered that a lot of people in what we call bi for bi relationships, so bisexual folks who are dating bisexual folks, they have a lot of fun because they get to flirt and check people of multiple genders out together. They get to do that together. And what I love is that you've just described that happening in a mixed orientation relationship.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful? I think there's also like a lot of people talk about, it's so hot to know that my partner is wanted by other people. Like, it's hot to see that other people think my partner's hot, or other people like think my partner's funny or interesting. It makes me go, oh yeah, I'm really attracted to them.
He says he really likes to see me blush, and any about you are blushing so much. And I'm like, I know, and it's lovely. It's really lovely. And
That's
Chris,
cute.
and he's a gay man, and he does go out of his way to like be like, oh, look at her, like she's beautiful. We live down at the beach, so there's just gorgeous people everywhere, and he goes out of his way to make sure that I feel very bisexual. And I'll tell you what, that is the best thing to do to keep me from wanting to go and explore that and go and cheat or go and do whatever, because I feel good and I feel secure and I love my partner because of this.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. That's cute.
It's so cute. It's really funny. It's really, really, really funny. But then also, Chad, like I'm also sometimes like, you're checking her out a little too hard. And he's like, oh, and I'm like, this, bisexuality is a very broad spectrum, honey. So I'm, we're not here to convert people, but also what we'll find here, we are talking about relationships and relationship dynamics and mixed orientation relationships. So often, when one partner comes out, the other partner may also explore their own sexuality. So be open to that sort of experience as well. Don't force it or anything, but like, you can be, we talk about being the lighthouse, and within your own relationship, you can be a bi lighthouse and open up your partner's mind, because you are in that partnership. For me, I'm in my partnership for life. We're about to get married. And so I want to be able to explore the full breadth of everything with him.
I love that.
It's so funny, Chad. Like every time we go to the butcher. Oh, and there was this one time we're pretty sure it's her brother works there, and he'll be standing over by like the shredding machine, and he stands there like this, watching me and her flirt. And then there's Chris over there, so it's like me and her, and this like tense standoff, like her brother defending her, like my boyfriend like standing there watching as well, and we're just it's so funny.
That's so funny. I love that. I would love to like witness it one time.
Yeah. And
that's great.
It sounds bullshit to say it is affirming and it's enough, but for me, it is enough. It just so happened to be enough. And I have that experience of being polyamorous. I've done everything under the sun. And I'll tell you what's more fun, having my monogamous partner be there with me to have that experience.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, Steve, we've got some fun news, just as an aside. Last year, we got to live out one of our podcast dreams perhaps a little bit earlier than we thought. It was going to be available to us in June of last year. One of the big kind of queer orgs in Sydney, Qtopia, which is like the largest queer not museum, technically not a museum. What is it? It's a maybe you keep this up.
Hi everyone, I'm Steve Spencer, proud ambassador of Qtopia Sydney. So I'm the token bisexual at Qtopia Sydney, I suppose you could say that. And yeah, Qtopia is the world's largest LGBTIQ plus cultural centre. It's adjacent to a museum, but museums have to have that's a very specific thing.
Yeah.
But you're about to tell us about Pride Fest. And so during June, they run an incredible arts and culture festival. And we got to be a part of it. And
yeah, we were very excited last year because not only were we included, we got to kick it off, which is one of our stipulations. We're like, we want to be like proudly kicking off Pride Fest in Sydney, and very excitedly, we are doing it again this year. Woo! What that means, we are doing a live show. We're doing a live podcast recording in a room with bodies in it, with warm bodies. Warm bodies, maybe some cold ones. If any snakes want to join us, any reptiles, lizard people are also welcome.
Oh, welcome, very welcome.
But that will be happening this June in Sydney. They've expanded this year. They're going across multiple venues, which is very exciting. Talking about it reminds me that I need to get back to them on a number of fronts.
We have a couple of emails to respond to.
Emails.
We pulled it together. We had such a good time, and the feedback we got was awesome. And the feedback we got, especially immediately from people in the crowd, there were people, we knew that we'd see some usual faces, our friends and everything, but then people who came along with their partners, that people who had never been to a BIPOC event, people who would never consider going to a queer venue, came along and were just like, oh my God, we have this space. And that's not blowing smoke up our ass. But is that an Australianism? Will our American, will our Northern Hemisphere,
that's fine. Yeah, let's go for it.
Siblings,
it was really cool. One person in particular wrote to us. I think she just happened to come along, and she was so moved because the conversations we had, which sometimes we need to remind ourselves that the conversations we have just because we're comfortable with it and we do it a lot, are the first time someone might be hearing that out loud by someone else in a way that isn't about shame, isn't about stereotypes and tropes. And they left and then wrote to us this really long, beautiful, like, I cannot believe I've waited 35 years to hear someone speak like with so much pride about bisexuality out loud. Thank you. You have shifted something in me. And that was like just one person saying that means the world, but we got that from a few people. Now, what we did last year was really cool. We actually did 2 events in one night, and I believe I'll have to double check
because we love a challenge.
we may be
time on our hands.
So what we did a live podcast episode recording, and then we did like what we call like a Give It To Me Bi and Friends, a panel, so a pansexual panel, essentially where we had
thank you, Chad.
A bunch
Chad the dad,
a bunch of people, some bi baddies from across the region, come, and we talked on a number of different topics. We had politicians, we had cultural event representatives, we had an author, we had this gorgeous man you see on the screen as well, Steve, and I was the MC, and it was a great night. So we had 2 events in one night, which was just insane, and loved it.
He says with a quiver in his eyes, it was great.
And so you never know what is in store for this year, but it will be interesting. It will be affirming. It will be full of pride. Now, if you, a lovely bi person listening to this, or partner of a bi person, or friend of a bi person, want to come along, these venues are quite small. So if you want to get tickets, it will be in Sydney, Australia, on Gadigal land. And when we post the link, we'll post it all over our socials. We'll post it in our email newsletter. So subscribe to our newsletter. We'll send out all the information that you'll want to jump on the tickets ASAP. And it would just be so lovely to meet you all and talk shit.
I bloody love meeting our listeners because you're honestly family. Like, we're just chilling in our lounger, and I like, this sounds really lame, but like, I feel you're all here with us, okay, everyone, and it'll be really, really nice to see all your faces in person. I don't know, it does give me the warm and fuzzies, but also this is your opportunity to heckle us. So the podcast medium, we're just sort of talking at you all. We get lots of awesome feedback. Please keep on writing into us. But you get to yell at us.
Yeah, Steve likes to be yelled at. It's a particular kink of his. Last year, I was like, stop telling people to heckle us. But honestly, heckle away. I have no fear anymore. Nothing can rattle me. So go nuts. You could be on the podcast if you heckle loud enough.
Yeah, so that's coming up. Pride Fest June. Just look out on our socials. You'll know about it. Get tickets when they come out because they will go. Woo! So Chad, like last year, I think it was Triple J, which is the youth radio station here, ran a survey of young Australians. So I think it was like under 30s. And this is all about relationships. And they found that over 40% of people would never date a bi person. And I find that, and that is all based on things that we've discussed on this podcast a lot. It's all based on the stereotypes, the myths, the really harmful biphobia. And biphobia is, of course, the negative thoughts, actions, all that sort of stuff towards bi plus people that experience multi-gender attraction. There's our little explainer. But back to the point I'm making, it's an extraordinary statistic because so many of these people that say they would never date a bi person are in fact in very happy, very lovely, long-term monogamous relationships with bi plus people who are just not by no fault of their own, shit scared of coming out as bi plus because the world around them tells them they shouldn't, and we are here to dispel that. But we've had some feedback on this. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Bi plus people make up the largest proportion of the LGBTQ plus community. We have something like 65%, depends on geographic location, etc., and demographic of the queer community. And so like there's going to be some bias out there that you're not aware of. But the point that I touched on before, it's actually quite upsetting. I remember when they did that survey, and it felt like why do we need to know this? we kind of already knew this, but it did make that information plain, and it made it again explicit. It kind of brought that the feelings that bi plus community know and feel, it brought it into the light, and it became a discussion that was had. Unfortunately, we then received a lot of stories from people, and we saw a lot of stories online. An example from one person here says, I've been married for 15 years and never told my wife I'm bisexual. She's mentioned in the past how she'd never date a bi man because she'd worry about infidelity. Now I'm sitting with this secret eating me up, but terrified of losing my family if I come out. So this person is in a relationship that outside of that point, it sounds like they doing okay. They're 15 years is nothing to scoff at. They have a family. So it looks like on paper, in a lot of ways, ticks a lot of boxes. Now we don't do box ticking, but
I've ticked a few boxes.
But
sorry, everyone. Sorry, everyone.
That fear is real. That coming out, even though, yeah, I mean, it just reminds me of, I remember when I was talking about my relationship with Heidi, is that one of the things she asked me, and I wrote about in next month's column for the Star Observer, is she asked me, does that mean you want to break up? Does that mean we shouldn't be together anymore? And I just remember thinking, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's so inconceivable to me.
Like,
nothing
what?
changed from yesterday to today. Like, literally everything about me is the same. Everything about you is the same. The only thing that's different is this piece of information that
the knowledge of.
It's the knowledge of.
The person hasn't changed.
Yeah, and let's navigate that together. But it's what that knowledge and the assumptions around that bring, and so that fear of coming out, that of disclosing, is a real fear, and it can have great consequences. Some people might be like, oh, I've been dating for 3 months. If they don't like it, then I'm bi. Well, what's 3 months? And not to dismiss any relationship, all relationships are important and valid and hold weight. But there are a lot of people who discover that they're bisexual. Maybe they're watching media or listening to our podcast or listening to different things, reading books, and they're like, oh, I'm 30 years into this relationship. I thought I was straight. I thought I was gay. However, upon reflection and as I grow and interrogate myself, perhaps I'm not. And what does that mean? And losing 10, 20, 30 years of a relationship is terrifying. And we know people who have lost partners, families, and these are wonderful, authentic, kind, caring people, and it's
loving and monogamous relationships.
Yeah. And these partners as well are also often kind, generous, thoughtful people. But it's this these stereotypes, these tropes, the miseducation of what bisexuality means and doesn't mean, that creates this friction. And I have a lot of love for folks who have gone through that, and I unfortunately nearly had to go through that myself and didn't. I have a lot of, perhaps people will be uncomfortable hearing me say, I have a lot of empathy for partners who have that fear as well and act on that fear.
Yes.
I remember seeing on my partner's phone the search results that she looked for when we were having these conversations, and the articles she found. And I just remember going like, if that's what she's reading, of course you would ask, do we need to break up? If that's what you're reading, of course you would want to cut your losses, like, because that paints a really bleak future for our relationship. And I guess for me, one of the things that became very important to me, it was two things. One, a focus on my partner, and then a focus on what bisexuality meant for me, and what affirmation looked like for me. To the first point, I made it my job to not just love my partner unconditionally, which I always did, but to make her know it, and in every way possible, that every day she was reminded that like, hey, it's us, it's always been us, it's always gonna be us. And that's, I mean, I would hope that that's how people approach relationships anyway, but it's not necessarily the case. But it's also, it's really tricky to do that amidst being potentially blamed or held accountable for actions you've never done, you've never considered doing, that aren't aligned with who you are. And to offer unconditional and enthusiastic love back to that person is hard. That is not an easy thing to receive and then give back. But it paid off. And in concert with that was showing her what by affirmation looked like, and that it wasn't experimentation sexually. Because like, really, the fear on my side was just mirrored on her side, and I had to recognize that like, her fear wasn't a judgment of me. Her fear was a fear of losing me, a fear of losing us, a fear of losing what we had worked towards and what we'd built together. And when I recognized that that is a valid, honest fear to have, and I have the same one where we're fearing the same thing, it became very easy to turn up for her. But I had to get out of my own way to say, no, you have to honor my identity, and you have to like support me. And why can you support all the other queer people we know and not me? Like, I found that quite hard. I remember at times hearing her support other folks who'd come out, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. You're a great ally, but where's that energy for me? And like, I was very challenged by that. But recognizing that our fear was the same made a big difference. But then the way that I affirmed my bi identity was I found local community groups with other bi plus people. And you mentioned earlier that feeling of comfort and ease. And I always talk about that the shoulders relaxing, coming down from my ears to where my shoulders are supposed to be, because I didn't have to explain myself. I didn't have to defend myself. And I got to witness other people being just merely bi, not being bi as everything is about bisexuality, but like, oh, they're just people who just happen to be bi. Here's all the cool shit they do. I met Steve. We now do this together. We have made...
Ironically, we met an event where it's you're there because you're bi. We don't talk about being bi, but then we go off to start a podcast about being bi. But the irony. But I just really want to just make some... I want to hold some space for you right now. And thank you for being so open with your experiences, because you're really modeling just extraordinary values and strength, because what you've been through requires so much strength. And it probably doesn't feel that way. Like we do what we have to do, right? But, I think the listeners, I think we can all take so much away from that, and you're giving us a real gift here.
Yeah, thank you.
And this is a gift I think everyone can pass on.
I guess I've previously been a bit reserved about how explicitly I talk about Heidi and I's relationship, because I wanted to make sure I honored her and her experience and didn't speak on her behalf. One of the many unfortunate things that came along with Heidi's passing is that Heidi had just told us that she wanted to come on the podcast. and share about her experience of what that meant for us in our relationship and how we navigated that. And she said that, yeah, absolutely, we can talk about anything, everything. It's all on the table, as long as it's not explicitly about our like sex life. You know what I mean? Like we all have family members that don't necessarily want to hear that. But she had said that she was ready to talk about our relationship and the challenges and what that meant, and that it wasn't necessarily easy, and the things we're challenged by in reckoning with my identity, sexual identity. And so that's the only reason why I feel comfortable talking about it now, is because she had previously given consent to do so. And I have taken many notes over the years about our experience going through that. I've spoken to friends who she confided in through that experience, that it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for her. It wasn't easy for me, because it was unknown territory. And I guess at the end of the day, relationships are full of unknown territory, and we sign up to chart those waters together. And like we didn't know what being parents together looked like before we became parents together. We didn't know what living together looked like before we lived together. We didn't know what navigating a cancer diagnosis and then navigating treatment and all that looked like until we did that together. And so why would we turn away and be so afraid of this aspect of a relationship when we decided that we'd do everything else together? So thank you for saying that. It's I'm probably going to get off recording this episode and just go bawl my eyes out.
You can do that, Joe.
Yeah,
you can do that. We love you. We love you so much. Heidi has given so much, not just to you, but to all of us. And through you and through what we put here on the podcast with Heidi and everything, all the incredible joy and lessons, like we've just heard, that she's given the world, where we can change the world. And I think that's what we're doing here. And I think that's what every bi+ person can do, is that we can, as individuals, and in our monogamous relationships, you listed it all off. They're tough. They're tough. And maybe your sexuality is not going to be the toughest thing. Maybe it's going to be for me currently, it's deciding what to wear to my wedding. But
yeah, fun.
But it's nothing's easy. Don't put it. Everything doesn't have to be in the too hard basket. Your sexuality doesn't have to be in the too hard basket. But we've weaved through this whole episode as well that we fully understand how difficult it is, and your safety as an individual is most important, and your happiness is the most important as well. We make choices in our life for the best outcome for ourselves, or for our families, for our partners, for our futures, and disclosing your sexuality within a monogamous relationship does raise a lot of those questions. But what you have told us tonight, Chad, is just the extraordinary payoffs. And you talked before, you used the word bleak before, and bleak is a small part of this, because there is so much extraordinary joy and growth to be had. It's just so much. And I read something really cool on there was a reel that went around on Instagram that was pretty popular. I reposted it about 20 times. Maybe that's why. And
it was really popular with Steve Spencer.
It was really popular with me in particular. I made it popular. And it was this woman saying, like, I only date bi men, because they have had to think for at least 1 second about who they are. And I'm like, hell yeah. And that's why the relationships, just like yours and Heidi's, or mine and Chris's, they are strong relationships, and the monogamy is strong, and the love is strong, and the dedication is strong, the communication. And also, when I talk about the monogamy is strong, the opportunities to also renegotiate the terms of relationships is strong. We are the most extraordinary people. We make the best bloody partners. We have the most beautiful relationships. You have the most incredible relationship with Heidi, and I admire you too. And you do inspire me so much.
Thank you, my
And
love.
now I'm going to show off again that I get to have you as my best man at my wedding. And we'll have a spot for Heidi there as well.
Oh, don't do that to me.
Of course.
Oh gosh,
And
I'll lose it.
because at the end of the day, this is actually really all about love, isn't it?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely. I think we all have fear. We all have fear that we won't be, that we're not lovable, that we won't be enough, that we won't find security. That all these things are true for everyone, and all of us have different triggers and different things that make those fears more prominent in our lives. And really, if we can lean into trust, communication, negotiation, those fears can be lessened and lessened and lessened, and we can develop new fears based on a level of strength. And there's always room for more fear.
what's the saying? What's the saying? It doesn't get better. Oh, wait, no, they say it does get better. No, but it shouldn't. That's the beauty of life, I think. I'm not here to sit in the waiting room anymore. I did that for too long and it almost cost me my life. I'm here to live my life. And so for me, I'm going to go head first because, yes, I mean, the person who wrote in to us who had that 15-year-long relationship they're looking at losing, there is so much to lose. But we all have something to lose, but we also have a lot to gain. We have so much to gain. And I think to be affirmed in our relationships as bi people, I would say is one of the greatest joys of my life. And it took practice and it took stumbles, but it's just extraordinary. And I get to flirt with my butcher. And that's my little naughty treat every day. And then I just have the most extraordinary fiance, soon to be husband.
I think this episode is like it almost getting to me a little bit, because how much I wish a conversation like this was available to myself and to Heidi and to other people I know who have gone through some really hard times with the people they love the most over something that feels really important and also feels really not important at different times of our lives. Like there was a time in my life where my identity felt so, why do I care? Like this isn't important to me. And then the other times in my life, like this is so important to me. And it feels weird to have had any friction throughout one or both of those seasons. And I just wish that that when Heidi had looked up, my partner just came out as bi, that this episode came up. That our episodes about straight passing relationships came up. Our episode about where are all the bisexual men came up, because wow, what a difference that could have made. And that's why we've created resources like how to support someone who's just come out, that we've had a lot of really great feedback on. I'll put links in the show notes, but how to understand it for yourself, how to help navigate. I guess maybe as a bit of a prompt for people listening as we wrap up is maybe twofold. One, for those who have gone through this themselves, what are some of the great things, some of the increased intimacy, increased pride, closeness, the opportunities that presented themselves to you and your partner post coming out, post that affirmation together? What are some of those things that became present in your relationship? And I think then the second prompt I'd probably say is, what are some of the things that you wish happened if perhaps it didn't go quite as planned, or perhaps if it was a little bit rocky and then stabilized? What are some of the things that perhaps you thought could have been reframed or been navigated differently that might have helped sustain it, or bring your partner in to a better understanding of your sexuality and identity sooner? Both those questions, if you want to jump into the Facebook group, the Give It To Me By community on Facebook, it'd be a great place to have a conversation about those things. That everyone in there is so wonderful. The chats we have in there are great.
I'm gonna throw a third one in there.
Please.
I'm going to throw a third one in there. because people listening here will have experienced loss. People here will have lost things. People would have been through this process and gone, Chad and Steve, like I took your advice, or like I went in it head first, just like you said, Steve, and things fucked up. I know if you've experienced loss, can you think about anything that you gained, or what happened in your life afterwards? What did you if you lost something, did you get to gain anything from that? I know personally people who the immediate loss is extraordinarily painful, but then on reflection, they've told me they weren't the person for me. Obviously, they were not the person for me.
Yeah.
And then I met the person for me.
Yeah.
Because I learned something, or I got my self-esteem, or I left that relationship and it hurt so much. But then I found my bi+ community, and that means more than anything, because we've got family and our partners are family, but then we also have chosen family. And we here at Give It To Me Bi are the bi+ community and family that you can come to. Please come join us.
Yeah, love that. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe. Please send it to your partner, your friends who may enjoy this as well. Thank you for joining us again. This is it was a bit of nerve-wracking getting back on the mic after 9-12 months off. It's been a big year, and thank you, Steve, for your patience, for your understanding with the false starts and my excitement in the brief moments I had any clarity, and then immediately losing it again.
Chad, I've been a hot mess this entire time. Didn't you notice? I'm thanking you for your patience.
So it's great to be back. It's great to be back. And
hey, everyone, let us know how we did.
Yeah.
How we do?
How do we
Give
go?
us a performance review. How we do?
Love it. Love you all. Thank you for. Sorry, you got something else to say?
Yeah, I was going to say I don't think I did enough dick jokes, but I'll work on that.
Yeah, we didn't. I mean, this was a more serious kind of episode, but
how dare you?
We had a couple jokes, but usually we've got a lot of funnies. This one is a little bit more sincere.
It did. Oh, this one did hit me in the feels.
Yeah,
it really hit me in the feels. You and I have been through and are going through a lot on different ends of the spectrum, through various different things, and our listeners are all going through a lot.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to the listeners to that one episode talk about engagements and marriage and cancer and death and loss. Like that's a roller coaster of an episode.
But this is it. We're here to be open, and I can't wait to hear you open up with us, and we can't wait to see you all at the next episode, which will be episode 28. What the hell?
Yeah, wow. Thank you, everyone. Love you lots.
Welcome to season 2, I guess. Ooh.
Oh my gosh, welcome.
Mwah. Love you all.
Give It To Me Bi acknowledges that we live and work on Gadigal land. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and pay our respects to elders past and present. Sovereignty is never ceded.